we're going to be deep diving into the NFL, going to be taking a look at every single division and predict every single team's record.
I think they're one of my favorites to win the Super Bowl this year.
This team, that offense does not excite me. I think the offense continues to regress.
It's going to be Mahomes versus Russ for the MVP. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Sorry. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the WNP podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson. Joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Crawshaw. Chase, how you doing?
Doing pretty swell. I'm excited. How are you?
Why are you excited?
Because I'm excited to crap on the person to the right of me.
Oh, and who would that be to your right?
That would be Mr. Alice King himself.
How you doing, Alec?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Good. And like I mentioned on the old Twitter, these next 4 weeks, we're going to be deep diving into the NFL, going to be taking a look at every single division and predict every single team's record, as well as an MVP candidate and a Rookie of the Year candidate from each division. So, going to be a lot of fun. So, how we're going to do this is we're going to do 2 divisions in each episode. So, we'll do the AFC and NFC North together, AFC, NFC East, and so on together. So, I decided that we would do the 2 divisions that produced the 2 Super Bowl appearing teams. That would be the Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers, AFC and NFC West. So that is who we're going to start with. Our very first episode, looking at records from each division, for each division in this upcoming NFL season. Now, this is going to be the same as last year. We went through every single team's schedule and picked a winner, picked a loser. So some of these might not match what we actually think. Like, so for example, let's just say the Chiefs. You think the Chiefs going to be around that, 11, 13 win team. Maybe they get 15 wins from someone because they just really think their schedule is good or something like that. So although the teams might not be in that same area that you would project them, we are looking specifically at their schedule and handing out wins and losses. So we're going to start with the NFC. NFC West, you got the 49ers, the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, and the LA Rams. Let's talk about it. Chase, do you want to give your first place team first? Who's going to take it? Who's going to take the NFC West? And then are they a playoff team or not?
Well, if they win the division, they will be a playoff team.
Or are they?
I did think about that. So the LA Rams are going to go 16-0.
Nice.
No. But the Seattle Seahawks will go 13-3 en route to winning their division and obviously making the playoffs. I look forward to what the Seahawks can do this year. I think Russell Wilson continues what he did last year with his wide receivers, being a year developed, like specifically DK Metcalf being a year developed. Hopefully a healthy running game. The defense, they improved through the draft, should be a little bit better as well. So I think everything comes together, and just the way their schedule plays out, it ends up being a little more in favor for Seattle, in my opinion.
Pretty high on Jamal Adams there, are you?
Yeah, I mean,
how could
he not be?
The defense definitely got bolstered when they bring over Jamal Adams to add with Bobby Wagner, and then, of course, Russ Wilson. It's just a stud. So, Alec, your first place team in this division.
I have the San Francisco 49ers going 14-2.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Winning the division.
Yeah,
obviously,
Yeah.
So, Super Bowl champs, or champs, runner-up, my bad.
Right.
They tried.
Chiefs beat them, yeah. But runner-up, I think their defense is absolutely insane. I think Kyle Shanahan is one of the best, if not the best offensive mind in the NFL. I think that the offense is going to do really well. I think Jimmy G will take a step forward. I think he'll do a little bit better, be a little bit more consistent next season. I like they re-signed Mostert. I hope they give him the bulk of carries because I definitely think he proved to be the most consistent and skilled running back out of their running back core. And like I said, their defense is just already nuts. What more can I say?
Absolutely. And I give my first place to the San Francisco 49ers as well. but I only gave them 12 wins. I go 12-4 for the San Francisco 49ers. The top of the division is the lowest when it comes to win total in comparison to you two. Chase 13, Alec 14. I think the San Francisco 49ers are great. I've got them 5-1 in their division. I think their only loss comes to Seattle in Seattle. However, I could see people making arguments for maybe dropping a game to the Cardinals or maybe the Rams, but I don't know. Next up, we've got the number 2 team in the NFC West. Chase, I would have to assume it is the San Francisco 49ers. However, you may be super high on the Cardinals.
No, it's the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to have an 11-5 season, so still a good season, still a playoff team. I don't know. There's just... I like the team. I really like this roster. Just for whatever reason, I was higher on them last year than I am this year. I don't know why that is. Maybe because they disappointed me a little bit there in the Super Bowl. I don't know. But I just think that the Seahawks team has too much going to not place them first in the division. But I mean, the 49ers are obviously easily a playoff team unless everything goes horribly wrong, like it did, just a couple of years ago.
Right. Alec?
I have the Seahawks, and actually I have the same record that Chase does, 13-3.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's a winning division.
A very loaded division. I love the Seahawks. Definitely I think they're one of my favorites to win the Super Bowl this year, especially after the addition of Jamal Adams, even though they lost Clowney. Not going to get him back. And obviously, I think Russell Wilson is the only quarterback who can even be close to putting a tier with Patrick Mahomes as being the best quarterback in the NFL. Still got to give it to Patrick Mahomes, but Russ is definitely a very close second, one of the most skilled guys at the position. I think he can carry any offense, no matter who his receivers or running backs are, to wins and points. So, yeah, 13-3.
Yeah, I agree with you. Seattle Seahawks are my number 2 as well. However, they come in at 11-5. They, of course, do make the playoffs. And we didn't really talk about it, but playoffs are different this year. There's going to be 7 teams making it in each conference. The first team will have a bye. The next 6 will play in 3 matches to determine who moves on. So 1 extra playoff team in each conference this year. So that's why some teams will make the playoffs and some teams may not, depending on their record. And I know Chase said in a coming episode there's going to be a team with a realistically non-playoff record, but because of the expansion, they're going to sneak into the playoffs. But I don't think that's this episode, right?
Nope.
So yeah, Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers.
Well, kind of. Not the specific record I was thinking of, but there is a team that just sneaks in there a little bit.
Okay. So San Francisco 49ers, Seattle Seahawks, both top 2 for all 3 of us. Chase has Seattle over San Francisco, vice versa for Alec and I, and all of us have both of them making the playoffs. Next up, the 3rd in the division. Chase, you have
the Arizona Cardinals going 7-9 on the year. So I think if this team makes the playoffs, Kyler Murray is probably going to end up being the obvious choice for MVP. I think he has a heck of a season. The receiving core is really talented. I like Kenyon Drake for a single season. Long term, I'm not sure, but I think he's good for this offense. Really going to help out. And they've added some pieces to their defense. The offensive line is still pretty iffy. Defense is still iffy too, but this team did enough where they're going to keep taking steps in the right direction until, maybe another year or two, they're finally that level of team that they're hoping to be.
Right. Alec?
I also have them at 7-9. I agree with Chase. I think the addition of Isaiah Simmons on their defense is going to boost it quite a bit. I think with how versatile he is, it'll help all around pass rush, pass coverage. I think it'll end up being an anchor for the defense. Kyler Murray, I think he's skilled. They definitely has the weapons, but I definitely think that it's going to take them another year or two to get in that playoff conversation to complete this. It seems kind of a short-term rebuild, but just to get back in that playoff conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I've also got the Cardinals at my number 3 spot. However, I have them with 9 wins.
Ooh.
And I think that we could see Kyler Murray take that next step this year, and he's got all the pieces to do it. So they bring in D-Hop, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Some people would argue the best wide receiver in the league. I think a lot of their young guys help contribute a little bit more, like Byron Murphy, cornerback that we saw them draft last year. I think he steps up a bit. And then Isaiah Simmons, I think, was the third best overall player in the draft this past year. I'd give it to Okuda and, of course, Chase Young above him, but I think he's ready to step in right away and produce. So I give the Arizona Cardinals 9-7. However, they do not make playoffs. They would place 9th in the conference, and again, only the top 7 make it. So no playoffs for the Cardinals for either of us or any of us, and then of course that would leave the LA Rams as the last team. Chase, your record for them.
The LA Rams are gonna have an abysmal year at 4-12. Yeah,
damn.
You guys know I'm a Rams fan, like not like diehard Rams fan, but they're one of the teams that I like. You know, primarily because I was a big fan of Jared Goff. I thought he had the potential to turn into a real good NFL quarterback. I love Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley's gone. Jared Goff has not become that real good NFL quarterback. So this team, that offense does not excite me. I think the offense continues to regress. I think Sean McVay, as much as he is probably a good offensive-minded coach, really other than that 1 year where their offensive line, for whatever reason, was just pretty much the best in the league, they haven't done much since then. They've kind of floundered since then. And I think they flounder again. I think he might be kind of exposed as a little bit of a fraud almost. Yeah, that's a little bit of a hot take, I know. And sure, you got Aaron Donald, and you got Jalen Ramsey there in the backfield too. But as a whole, I just think this team is kind of trash.
Damn.
I'm 3 for 4 with agreeing with you because I also have the Rams at 4-12.
Wow.
But I do have to disagree. I don't think Sean McVay is necessarily a fraud. I think that there's only so much a coach can do when your quarterback cannot read a defense.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think you give him a better quarterback and a front office that doesn't spend all their cap on two to three people. Said quarterback and also a running back that they end up trading away. Or cutting. Yeah, cutting. So, but I don't know. 4-12, yeah, team's not great. McVay's not going to be able to do much with Goff. Jalen Ramsey's still top 5 corner in the league, but obviously Aaron Donald, I think, best defensive player in the league overall, but, only so much you can do when Jared Goff's your quarterback.
Obviously, I've got the Rams at 4 as well, but I do not have them at 4-12. Do you guys have them going 0-6 in the division?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be why. So, they've got some cupcakes on their schedule, like the Giants, the Redskins, the Dolphins, and the Jets. You could argue the Dolphins aren't a cupcake, but according to last year's record, they definitely are, and they still got to figure out that quarterback position. But, I've got the Rams going 7-9. I think they're not a playoff team, obviously, but I think they're respectable enough, and I would agree with Alex's sentiment on McVay, good coach, Goff, bad quarterback. I've been calling for not Goff's head, but I've been calling Goff kind of a faker when it comes to the elite quarterback ranks since really he got his big contract 2 years ago, and it's really proven it now. He's really proven that he's the exact guy that I have been seeing. I think they get more wins than you guys say just because the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals, none of them were very consistent last year when it came to in-division rivalry. Like the Cardinals, they weren't great last year. The 49ers, they were. The 49ers got beat by the Cardinals. If I remember correctly, I think they got beat by them by like 2 or 3 scores. I could be wrong. They just haven't really been very consistent in their division, so I have the Rams taking 2 division wins. Who do I have them beaten? I got them beating the Cardinals in Week 17, and then off of a bye week in Week 9, they're going to get a home win over the Seahawks in Week 10. So that's what I got them going with, 7-9. I think Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are the best players at their respective positions. Yes, I still think Jalen Ramsey's the number 1 corner in the league, so they can really help that defense win, or help the team really win any game. But, yeah.
That's fair.
All right. We now give our Rookie of the Year prediction for the NFC West. Again, there's only one Rookie of the Year prediction. We're not doing one for every single team, just for the specific division. We'll start off with Alec this time. Alec, who is your Rookie of the Year when it comes to the NFC West?
My Rookie of the Year is Javon Kinlaw. I think he's going to go in and take Buckner's place, and I think he's going to produce right out of the gate as well. Maybe not on Buckner's level, but I think he'll fill that role nicely and end up being a staple for that defense for a while. So, yeah.
Chase?
I'm going to lean Brandon Ayuk on this one.
Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah. So, I was inclined to pick defense, but I figured to spice up. Let's go offense. So, Brandon Ayuk should have a pretty clear week one role, especially if Debo is still not healthy. And with the type of injury that Debo's dealing with, it's usually on the longer term compared to the shorter term. So I'm going to assume that Debo's out for at least a couple weeks. Ayuk's going to come in, produce really well, and they're going to be like, oh, you know what? He's doing his job. Like, you can't just stop targeting him. So they're going to put a little more emphasis in the passing game this year. Jimmy G's going to have a better, more consistent season. Mike and I know for sure are big believers in Jimmy G's talent. So I think the passing game is a little more efficient this year than normal compared to just being such the run-heavy team that they are. And Ayuk ends up having, a nice, 800 receiving yard and, 4, 5, 6 touchdown season, which is very nice for a rookie receiver.
Most definitely. And I originally had Javon Kinlaw written down. However, I did that because I figured Isaiah Simmons would be named. He wasn't, so I decided, you know what, I'll just change it up. I'll go Isaiah Simmons. Like I said earlier, I think he's the third best player out of the draft. I honestly could see you even argue number 2. I know you guys are Lions fans, so you love Okudah. However, I've seen that argued before where Simmons is over Okudah and just pure talent, ready to produce. So I think that he could most definitely be Rookie of the Year for this division, and he's going to be the guy I go for.
I do want to say that I agree that Simmons is the number 2 player out of the draft after only Chase Young, even though the Lions did draft Okudah. I was kind of pulling for Simmons for a little while there, but I think he's more skilled than Okudah.
See, I like Simmons because he's kind of this, Swiss Army knife you can throw in defenses, but, no defensive or no team really in the NFL has worked a defensive player like that yet.
Tyrann Mathieu.
That's maybe the only example because they tried doing it with, and he's just a ridiculous talent, so that makes sense. And so is Isaiah Simmons, so it's possible. But rookie year, I'm not sure. Jabril Peppers is a guy that's kind of in the same boat as Isaiah Simmons. He hasn't really been that jack of all trades like they hoped. Isaiah Simmons has been practicing mostly at the inside linebacker position. He did not he played that in college, but that was not his most played position in college either. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a transition. Not having the preseason game is going to be tough on these defensive rookies, in my opinion. So he could still have a good year. I still take Okudah at least 1 year, for a single season over Isaiah Simmons' career. I don't know. We'll have to see.
That's one argument I never really understood. A lot of people say it, and that's that Isaiah Simmons, because he doesn't have a specific position, he's not gonna maybe perform right away at an extreme level. I think bringing in a guy that can perform at a high level at multiple positions is a plus rather than a negative.
I agree.
No, I agree, but if that's how they were going to use him, then sure. But he's talked about how he's worked out exclusively at inside linebacker. So if they were going to use him all around, then sure, that's great. But it sounds like he's just going to be an inside linebacker to start.
Well, to start, maybe, but the fact that all this COVID stuff is going on means they're probably not able to give him reps at other places right now.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt him in the meantime. Having that jack of all trades guy is great, but if you can't use him in that position just because of what's going on right now in the world, that's something that is going to hinder him a little bit. I think he's best used being moved all around because you never know what the hell he's going to do when he's moving all around. But being in one position, he's still obviously such a game changer, but you can kind of expect something a little more, if you know what I mean.
I would disagree, though, again, with the point that if right now he's practicing solely at inside linebacker, then he's going to be at his best at inside linebacker.
But he's not playing in the game speed at inside linebacker. He just can't do that. If he had the exhibition games, I'd feel more comfortable. But the no exhibition games, it's making me feel wary for not him, just all defensive rookies. I feel really wary about this year.
I feel that about everyone because I feel like
that's fair.
I feel like if there's a sport out there where you have to be so physically inclined to play the sport, but also there's so much I'll say partying and really not taking care of yourself as much. If there's any sport that has those two combined, I think it's football. Because basketball, you don't have to be as physically inclined when it comes to football. However, I would say those two sports are probably the biggest sports in which when a player is in their off season, they like to party a little more, chill out a little bit more. They're not grinding as much. Where I feel like hockey, you're always going to see guys grind like Sidney Crosby and that. So I feel like you could say that about everyone rather than just a rookie. But yeah. All right, let's now move on to our MVP conversation when it comes to the NFC West. Gosh, this one seems kind of like one-sided, but I mean, I hope we can spice it up a little bit. Alec, you want to go first?
I think it's definitely an obvious choice. Even though I have the 49ers winning the division, I have to go Russell Wilson. Like I said, he is one of the most talented players at the quarterback position, and I think he has a shot to be MVP, even not just in the division, just overall NFL. I think he will finish top 3 for MVP. And not really much more I need to say. Russell Wilson is a stud.
Yeah, as much as I want to change it up, like I think it's silly to change it up. Russell Wilson, he's the guy. He's my favorite to win MVP this year. I have high hopes for the Seahawks, as you guys have heard. But if I really, I had to, because there's not much more to be said about Russell Wilson. Jimmy Garoppolo, if this 49ers offense can kind of improve in that pass game, like I'm hoping it can with Ayuk coming in, and hopefully getting Deebo Samuel back and having George Kittle, he could come in and have a type of season where he throws, like 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, and keeps the interceptions low. That's an MVP level season on a winning team. So I think that's something that is possible, but it's so hard not to choose Russell Wilson.
Yeah, the one thing with the Jimmy G thing, I think he's got the talent, and I think he's got the talent around him to do that.
Yeah.
However, I don't think Shanahan is going to scheme that for him.
I agree.
It's probably not. It's more being more optimistic than anything, because the talent is there, and like he hasn't really had that level of talent like Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, yet. So now that it's here, maybe he gets a little more of a chance.
For sure. And Russ is the obvious MVP. I would go with him too. I guess a name I'd bring up, not because he's my MVP, but because in the past 2 years, we've seen second-year quarterbacks win the MVP. Kyler Murray. Yep. They brought in D-Hop. They've got a lot of talent around him. So maybe you can look at him, but I would most definitely go Russell Wilson as the MVP coming out of this division.
That's fair.
All right, next up, AFC side, the better division, of course, because your Cincinnati Bengals are a part of the AFC. This one, I think, is going to be the most interesting, because I feel like the AFC West has a lot of talent, and there's been a lot of movement, too, with people's thoughts on certain teams. So let's hop in right away. I think we can get the first team out of the way. I think it's going to be pretty unanimous here. Chase, I'm assuming it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep, they're going to have a 13-3 season. Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. Tyreek Hill and him are the best 1-2 punch in the league, if you ask me. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is coming in as a rookie, has all the opportunity in the world. I don't think he's the most talented rookie out of this running back class, but he does look like someone who is primed to be immediately ready, so he's going to go into the system and be used like a charm. And, of course, the best tight end in the league, Travis Kelce. This team they got all going for them offensively, and the way that defense played last year en route to that Super Bowl run was tremendous. So if they can build off that momentum and keep pushing, it's going to be a hard team to beat.
And I don't know if you guys heard that, but Chase thought he'd throw in a little shot at me with his bias in Travis Kelce. Obviously not the best. That would be George Kittle, my fantasy tight end.
Kelce's definitely the best tight end in the league.
No. Not right now.
Yes, he is.
No.
I don't know. It can be argued.
Then why did Then why did Kelce say that Kittle was the best when the NFL Top 100 came out?
Because he's a humble young man.
He's not young.
Well, he's a humble middle-aged man.
All right. Obviously, the Chiefs were picked for Chase. Alec, I want to say they're obviously picked for you too, but I feel like you might have something up your sleeve.
You'd think I would because of our NFL Bold Predictions episode, but, based on schedules, I did go the Kansas City Chiefs.
Smart man.
14-2.
Two 14-2 teams in the same episode.
That's all there's going to be. I'm going to say that right now. There's no more 14-2 teams.
The other ones are 15-1.
The two teams that were in the Super Bowl, I think they're both of them actually got better than they were last season. They've just added pieces. So, 14-2. You know, like you said, Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league. Defense, I think they started performing well at the end of last season. I think they're going to continue that. I think with Hilaire there, he's a better fit than Damian Williams. While I agree that he's not the best running back to come out of the draft, I think he's a solid fit for the Chiefs to start right away. I think that'll help their team out.
For sure. And Patrick Mahomes, giant contract, over $500 million contract. And you know what? That's going to make him become a bust. So the Chiefs are no, I'm just kidding. Of course, the Chiefs are my first place team. Patrick Mahomes, obviously elite. If we could do a Burrow for Mahomes trade, I would enjoy that. But
really, you don't say.
A Burrow, a Mixon, every first round pick for the next 10 years, and then you might be
worth it.
You might be halfway there.
It might be worth it. We got John Ross, so he's like Tyreek Hill, kind of.
Yeah,
if he can stay healthy.
Same player.
So yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs, 12-4, my first place team. They're 5-1 in the division, and I'll just leave it at that. Your number 2 team, Chase.
My number 2 team is the Denver Broncos.
Oh my. Okay.
Don't you guys all agree?
I don't know, do we?
But I have the Denver Broncos at 9-7, but squeaking into the playoffs. So you guys are higher on Drew Lock than I am, which is fine. If you're a Drew Lock fan, I understand having this team getting a couple more wins than what I have him as. I'm still just iffy. Like, he looked fine last year, just didn't show me enough. But he's got the weapons to really do some damage. So if he can do that damage, good for him. You know, I'll eat my foot on this one. But I just think 9-7 is kind of where I have them right now.
I also have the Denver Broncos, but I have them at 12-4.
Wow.
As you know, like I said, from the NFL Bold Predictions episode, I am super high on the Denver Broncos. I think that they have the biggest home field advantage when they are playing at home out of any team in the NFL. So I think that honestly helps them pretty much win all, or at least close to all of their home games. So, but yeah, I'm huge on Drew Lock. Their defense, I think, is great. Didn't lose anyone really. All they did was add weapons to the thing that wasn't great for them last year, and that's their offense. I think they're priming Drew Lock for a stellar season, and I think he might even be a sleeper second-year MVP candidate.
I'm not getting there.
I wouldn't argue that, because I honestly think Drew Lock's that talented, and Kyler Murray maybe getting a little too overhyped. Drew Lock not getting enough recognition.
Yes,
I don't
exactly.
know. I don't know. No. I've got the Broncos as well. I've got them at 10-6 though. I think they did a lot better than I predicted last year, and that keeps getting harped on me by my cousin, who's a big Broncos fan. He keeps chirping in my ear about that, but you know what? They impressed me. I like Drew Lock a lot, so I'm gonna give them 10-6. And if this comes back to bite you in the ass, well, maybe you shouldn't have made fun of me. How about that? So yeah, 10-6 for the Broncos. They're 3-3 in their division. But I think the team's pretty good. The offense looks a lot better. They brought in Melvin Gordon, Jerry Jeudy, and then their defense is still very solid. Although I do think it's declining a bit, I still think it's a very solid defense. Obviously led by Von Miller. Third in the division. Chase, you obviously have...
Who?
The Raiders.
I do not.
Oh, rip.
What?
It is... Yeah, I know. I'm kind of surprised myself, because I talked about before, I think it was... I don't know if it was with friends or on the podcast, I talked about how Derek Carr has the chance, if this team does well, to be a legit MVP candidate, because it'll be on the back of him throwing the ball so well. And I still think he can do that, but I don't know. I just didn't get down to that. I have the LA Chargers in third in the division at 6-10. This Chargers team, they've got a good defense, and I think they win games because of their defense. I think the offense just has a tough time putting it together. Tyrod, everyone knows, is nothing special at the QB position. I don't think
Josh Allen.
Oh no.
According to that TikTok.
Yeah, that was horrible. We're gonna keep moving on though. But like, I think Herbert is better suited sitting and learning the whole year, not just getting thrown right in, just because I think he needs to really learn how to be a pro and be a little more calm. And if he gets thrown in on this losing team trying to do these comeback wins, he might feel the pressure a little more and kind of struggle.
Like Stafford does.
Yeah, it's just like Stafford does. Yeah. So but I gotta assume you don't take a guy 6 overall to just not play him all year. So Herbert's gonna get in at some point, and as much as I like Herbert, I think he has just too much trouble in his rookie year, and just it's not enough for this team to do anything special. 6 wins is like the max I could put them at. I felt even generous putting him there. I thought I for sure would have had them last in the division.
Okay,
You have
Alec.
the Raiders at less than 6 wins.
I do.
Wow. Okay, Alec,
Yeah,
your third place team.
The Las Vegas Raiders. I have them at 9-7, just barely missing a playoff spot. I agree with Chase that Derek Carr could be a legit MVP candidate as long as that relationship with Gruden isn't too rocky. I also think their defense should take another step forward. I think that they still have the young pieces, well, not necessarily some of the big names from drafts in the past, and obviously drafting a guy like Damon Arnett over some better guys this year. But I think that they're on the up and up, and I think that they're going to definitely have a winning record, but just slightly miss the playoffs.
Okay. I would agree that they're on the up and up. However, they are my fourth place team, as my third place team is the LA Chargers at a 8-8 record. This defense is phenomenal, and I think, like Chase was talking about, Justin Herbert, you think it's going to be a struggle-some year? He's got everything. He's got everything he's ever going to need. He's got 2 great wide receivers. He's got a great tight end. That's what I'm looking for. And then he's also got good running backs. So
Not that he'll ever throw the ball to him, but...
No, but he doesn't need to rely only on the passing game because he does have a running back that can do the dirty work. So I think that the Chargers are going to be a good team. I don't think they're going to be a great team. I think they take a step back from my predictions of last year. I think we all predicted them over 10 wins.
I'm pretty sure I predicted them 15-1.
Yes,
maybe.
you did.
Yeah, and obviously it didn't work out for them. And I feel like that's on the back of P. Rivs having a pretty brutal year. I think they go more conservative with their 2 quarterbacks they got coming in this year. But I think that the defense, when healthy, should be able to get them wins. Remember, Derwin James wasn't there last year. Derwin James is a phenomenal player. They also bring in Kenneth Murray, a first-round rookie at the linebacker position. I think they got the defense to do it. Joey Bosa coming for a bounce-back year. So 8-8, they do miss playoffs, however. Chase, your last place team is, of course, the Las Vegas Raiders.
It is.
Let us know why.
I don't even know why. I just looking at the roster and the QB, because I do like Derek Carr, as I mentioned. I thought they would be a borderline playoff team, probably hovering around 500, maybe a little bit above. But I looked at the schedule, I did the work, and en route to going 4-12 on the season, they also go 0-6 in the division.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I don't know how that happened. I certainly did not think that was going to happen. But I don't know, like just they're starting off the season with a win against the Panthers. That's not hard. Then they got New Orleans, then they got New England, then they got Buffalo, then Kansas City. I think those are 4 straight losses there. Playing the Bucs, I got them beating the Bucs. I have them losing to the Browns at home, losing to the Chargers at home, losing to the Broncos. And really from there, their only other 2 wins are against the Colts and the Dolphins. It just, I don't know. This schedule ends up, in my opinion, being pretty difficult for them. And it's probably going to end up being either a change in quarterback or a change in coach at the end of the season because of it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wow. All right, and Alec, you obviously have the Chargers as your last place team. Let us know why.
It's going to be a doozy. I have them at 3-13.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to give my reasoning. So last season, obviously they went 5-11, did not have a good year. And like you said, Derwin James was out for most of the year, and I think if he was there, they would have had some more wins. But I would take Phillip Rivers over Tyrod Taylor, even now. And I think that they need to keep Taylor in there for at least half of this season to give Herbert some time with all this COVID stuff. Like if they had training camp still and all this other stuff, I think that Herbert should get a chance to start sooner. But the fact that I don't think he's anywhere near NFL ready coming out of the draft. And this COVID stuff is really hurting him because I think he has the highest ceiling out of any quarterback in this draft. And I'm bummed to see all this stuff happening the way it is. So with COVID happening and not being able to have training camp and all these team meetings and stuff, I think that they're going to start Tyrod for at least 3/4 of the season, and like I said, I think Rivers is better than Tyrod, so I don't see Tyrod taking this team any further than Phillip Rivers did. Therefore, I only gave them 3 wins.
I would agree that I like Rivers over Tyrod. However, I think this is now on Anthony Lynn to see what type of coach he is. Because Phillip Rivers, like I said, more talented than Tyrod. He's going to have to change the scheme. If he thinks that he can keep the same offensive scheme and just throw in Tyrod instead of Phillip Rivers or just throw in Herbert instead of Rivers, it's going to fail miserably. So I do think it's down to Anthony Lynn now. Do you think he's real? Do you think he's not? I'm kind of iffy on him. However, I don't think anyone would be dumb enough to try to insert a completely different quarterback into a scheme that works for the exact opposite of that quarterback skill set.
I was really big on Anthony Lynn when he signed there, but recently, and like especially last year, it's just you had the talent. Like, where are the wins at? Like, obviously, like I predicted them 15-1. I thought that they were going to be the best team in the NFL.
Yeah,
and they just fell flat on their face. And I don't think I trust Anthony Lynn. I think this is a year where he could turn it around. We'll see. But if he doesn't, then I think he needs to be out. Get Herbert a new coach that he can grow under. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. I thought they should have done a lot better than they did last year. And then my last place team, the Las Vegas Raiders, 7-9, respectable record for them. 2-4 in the division. This Raiders team is just weird for me. I agree that they're on the up and up, but when I look at their team overall, they don't have anyone that I'm like in love with. So Josh Jacobs, I would say, is their biggest star on their team. However, when you look at other teams, including in this division, you got Derwin James and Joey Bosa with LA. You got Von Miller and Bradley Chubb with Denver. The Kansas City Chiefs have Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, they have a huge amount of stars in this division where I feel like Vegas really lacks there. I think Derek Carr is a average to above average quarterback that I love. I have his jersey, but I think that's the case. Josh Jacobs is good. I don't think the weapons that the Raiders have / added when it comes to the passing game is good enough. I would rather have the Broncos and the Chargers passing weapons, and probably the Chiefs too, even though I think they really only have one wide receiver weapon, Tyreek Hill, and obviously they've got the second best tight end in the league.
They don't have George Kittle.
So yeah, I just don't think the Raiders have enough to get there. So 7-9, I do think they're on the up and up, like Alex said, but they're not there yet. They don't have that high end talent. If they kept Cooper and Khalil Mack, maybe this team's a playoff team. However, they got rid of them. They brought in some other pieces, and right now it's just not there for me. But we now move on to, of course, Rookie of the Year and then MVP coming from the division. Alec, we'll start with you. Your Rookie of the Year is?
I didn't want to pick someone really obvious, but I kind of have to. With Damian Williams opting out of this season, you got to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's good for at least 1,000 rushing yards, 8-9 touchdowns, and probably like 400 or 500 receiving yards, if not more, because I think he's going to be the pure workhorse.
Yep.
And I think he's honestly the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year overall. So, yeah, definitely have to go with him.
Instead of my boy? Or Chase's boy? Joe Burrow.
My boy, Joe
Burrow. Yeah, Chase's boy.
So, my turn now? That's happening?
Unless you don't want to turn.
No, no, I'm done. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's pretty obvious, the choice. If I want to say someone spicy, just for the hell of it, we can go Kenneth Murray. Even though I don't think he was, I don't think he's like a day one impact player. I like Kenneth Murray, but I was never really sold on him being a really ready type of prospect coming out of college. So I think he's more of sparingly used. So if you want to go someone other than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, just for the headline, then Kenneth Murray.
I like Kenneth Murray. I do. I like him more than you. But no, the obvious pick for Rookie of the Year is, of course, my boy, Jerry Jeudy. He's going to lead me to the promised land when it comes to fantasy. Drew Lock, 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, MVP. They're going to go, what? 12-4, Alec?
4,500 yards and 40
calm
touchdowns.
down. Sit down. And Jerry Jeudy is going to have 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns.
How many?
Who's he, Josh Gordon?
1,300 yards and 16 touchdowns.
I will happily make that bet. I will bet you $10 million.
If I can only put in one.
No. Even bets.
No even
$10.
bets.
Even bets
No.
at 10 million.
No even bets.
$10. You're afraid to bet $10.
No even bets at 10 million.
You're predicting,
Sorry.
You're predicting that. You're afraid to
so
bet $10.
Jerry
Mike
Jeudy-
Middleton is afraid to bet $10.
Jerry Jeudy, he's going to be elite. Yeah, I don't know. I am a person who I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire lands in the best position. I don't think he's the most talented player. Like, obviously, Swift, Dobbins, Taylor, all better in my mind than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, he's obviously got the workload to do it, but I think with an uptick in Drew Lock's performance and an amazing slot wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers we've seen come out of the draft in a long time, Jerry Jeudy, definitely a rival to Clyde Edwards-Helaire for that Rookie of the Year position.
I just got to say, like, I think DeAndre Swift is the best of all running backs for the Chiefs. If they took DeAndre Swift and Damien Williams was sitting out, I think he could have the most ridiculous rookie running back season we've ever seen.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, he could have been up there with Saquon a couple years ago.
Yeah,
For
but
sure.
sadly got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's still a good player, but
Joe Burrow said that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the best running back in the draft, but of course they played on the same team. So
yeah, of course he's gonna say that. Why wouldn't he?
didn't Okuda say like Damon Arnett is actually good or something? Which obviously that's not true.
True. He also said that Quintez Cephas was the hardest receiver he's ever played against. So
Yeah.
that one is true. Quintez Cephas is leading the league in receiving yards this year.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, 2020.
10 million to 10 million, even bet.
I really hope that Okuda did say that about Arnett, because Arnett's like, I'm the best corner in this draft. Like, he straight up like spat in Okuda, just spit, just
Yeah,
right when I said spit, spat.
Spat.
Well, he's saying he's better than Okuda, and then Okuda maybe said that he's good.
Isn't Arnett also like 24?
Yep, he's either 24 or 25, and I remember him seeing he was really old. He was a 4-year player.
Yeah, so that's tough for the Raiders. But now we talk about MVP, our final little piece of this episode. This one's pretty obvious, right? It's obviously Tyrod.
Drew
Yep.
Lock. I'm actually gonna go Drew Lock over
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes.
I like it.
Gonna be spicy.
That's why Jerry Judy's winning it, Chase.
Yeah,
Come
I
on,
gave
pay
them-
attention.
I gave them 12 wins. Patrick Mahomes obviously the best quarterback in the league, but I think he's just gonna be. Well, when I say mediocre, I mean mediocre for Patrick Mahomes. So
Right.
4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns. But I think Drew Lock is gonna have 4,600 yards and
36 touchdowns.
36 touchdowns. Yep.
There we go. Nice. Derek's going to love Alec.
Yeah, he is gross. Derek, give me my $10. Patrick,
I don't know what that's about. But
previous bet. It's only like 9 years old. But Patrick Mahomes is the MVP choice from this division. It's pretty obvious.
bandwagon.
Yeah, bandwagon.
True.
Yeah, I'm such a big Chiefs fan. I have all the merchandise, bro.
You gotta get a bandwagon button when you get your soundboard.
Well, I'm wearing a Spirit shirt.
No, that's a Chiefs shirt, buddy.
No.
Yeah, there's some of the same letters
You
in
guys
there,
are-
like S.
You guys are not the smartest people in the room, that's
There's
for
no,
sure.
there's no E. Yeah, there's an E right there.
There we
Can
go.
I continue talking? Patrick Mahomes. But in all reality, I do have Drew Lock as my second runner-up because they're the second playoff team. So if they do better than 9-7, it's on the back of Drew Lock and the defense. I mean, the defense is going to keep doing what they've been doing. So I don't think anybody can really step up much more than they already been playing. So if anybody steps up, it's Drew Lock.
I like it because 2 weeks ago you said Derek Carr's going to be the MVP, and now he's not even the MVP of the division.
I know.
Not even top 2.
I know, because I was really shocked, really, when I had him at 4-12. I just, the
Can't-
eye test, looking at the roster.
Yeah, and he can't give a 4-12 team an MVP.
No.
So,
God, no.
I get that. Justin Herbert wasn't my Rookie of the Year, but he is my MVP. That would be
I don't
amazing.
know how that works, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Mahomes. It's going to be Mahomes versus Russ for the MVP. And if you disagree, you're wrong. Sorry. But yeah,
Stafford.
that's pretty much it for the episode. Unless you guys wanted something else to say.
Lions are the best.
We're not at that episode
Okay,
yet.
Graham.
We're not at the episode yet. So yeah, Chase had Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals, Rams. Alec and I both had 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams. Then we all had KC, Denver as our 1-2. Alec had Vegas as his 3. And then Chase and I had LA as our 3. And then, of course, you know who the last team is. So, yeah, that's it for our AFC and NFC West preview. We will be back next week with another preview. Not sure which one we're doing yet. I would assume East, but we might do South first. We're going to leave North for last because obviously the Bengals and the Lions are in the North. That's got to be our finale. So make sure to stay tuned for next week's episode where we continue our previews. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us at WNP Sports Pod. We're also on Facebook and Instagram now. If you guys want to check us out there, we'll have all the socials in the description of the episode. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys. We really appreciate it. And as always, we're not professionals.